when we were here before, and we all loved Clarence. But when we were on our European trip in '61, we were toasted by the Lord Mayor in, wait a minute, I got to think where we were, Denmark. And the Lord Mayor just kept toasting and kept toasting. And this was before our concert. And so some of us were getting a little tipsy. And so we were coming down the stairs to go do the concert. And we were all just laughing and laughing. And I was walking down the stairs with Kathleen and Marie. Marie is Clarence's wife and Kathleen his daughter. And we were coming down the stairs having a wonderful time. And Clarence was down at the bottom of the stairs getting very upset with us. And he goes, "Shh, your country's at stake." And we laughed. So anyway, I don't know if you're going to want to put that in your film or not, but that's a good story. Okay. Did you cut?
Did you guys, were you in the band with the Sawhill?
No? Same year that Clarence came from USC, I came from Van Nuys High. We both started out in '52 with a Bruin band, and I was in it, excepting when I was in the Army until 1960.
What were your first impressions?
Of Clarence?
Yeah.
He was a damn good man. He ran the organization in a military way, and he got the most out of the bandsmen. I was very proud to be one of his people.
Do you have any stories that just epitomize Clarence?
Oh my! Without thinking, he could get excited if people performed too many stupid tricks. He could get upset, but I can't think of either going up to Cal or going up to Stanford, which is the only places that we went, excepting with the basketball pep band. I don't know. Let me have you do some talking, Lenny. What do you think about as far as what did tell us some things about Claire?
Well, he was a fine bandmaster, as you know. He always had a habit of being proactive and greeting people. You know, he'd say to me, "Hello, Ausländer, how are you?" And I'd say, "Fine, sir, how are you?" He says, "That's the time." That was remember that? He would say that and walk off.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, he was a fine bandmaster. I came to UCLA from City College out of the Air Force Band, so I could see right away the guy really was top flight.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was great.
Good. You guys have any just general stories about the band? Some great experiences, or?
Well, I remember the concert band played at a seminar down at Long Beach Civic Auditorium. They had invited all of the top university bandmasters from all over the country to come in with their favorite music. So we had an afternoon of a large audience, and we played all afternoon under different bandmasters and their music, and that was just an incredible concert. So that's one of my experiences.
Great. John, anything else to add?
No, I think that's about all I can think of. I played both through undergraduate, through law school, and in fact, I played the first year after law school, too, come to think of it. I was until '61, because I was working for the state as a state attorney, and I had a state vehicle, and I could park on campus, which was, in those days, just like in these days, was a real plus.
Yeah.
Thank you.
After we did all that toasting.
Really?
And here's the Lord Mayor toasting Clarence and Kelly. You can see he's got the same coat on there. I don't know if Gordon has the dates and places of some of these pictures. So credibility to my story.
We believe you.
My name's Alex Dvorkin. I was in the UCLA band program from 1968 through '72. And the most cherished memory I have of Dr. Sawhill was when we were on concert tour in Mexico. And due to the precise planning and the absolute upfront things that were going on at the time, somehow our reservations to come home from Guadalajara got lost, canceled, stolen, whatever. So there were a group of us that stayed in Guadalajara while the rest of the band went home, and Dr. Sawhill was one of them. I'll never forget having dinner with him one night in the hotel dining room and watching the pain on the poor man's face as the hotel pianist who was playing during dinner hit just about every wrong chord you could think of. And I couldn't tell, but he certainly could. And he was there trying to enjoy his meal, but he said, well, that's the way it goes. And that's my most vivid memory of Dr. Sawhill.
What were your first impressions of him, Alex?
Well, I had met him earlier in high school. He came to my high school to be a guest conductor, and I said, well, who's this old guy coming here thinking he knew anything about music? And he whipped us into shape in just such a short time in a concert. I would say, well, this is somebody I really have to keep track of. So I left high school not thinking I was going to be a music major, then remembering what Dr. Sawhill had done at our concerts. Well, I've got to transfer back to UCLA. So I transferred back to the UCLA music program, and he auditioned me, and I was in the wind ensemble, and he basically became my mentor all through the years that I was at UCLA. And I think because of him, I did finally go into teaching, and then went out of teaching, but that was another story there. But I think just the fact that he was such an awesome figure and someone who was so kind and yet so directed in what he was doing, that he really made all the difference in the world to me.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any stories for you?
Well, Alex took all of my time.
No.
My name's Mike Ramey. I was at UCLA at the same time as Alex. In fact, I was in the same room in Mexico for 2 or 3 days as we, tried to figure out what to do next. I have some other memories of Mexico that were really nice. There was the time, for example, that we broke up into ensembles and went to, around town, and we were all on foot that day. So I was in the sax quartet. We're heading down this boulevard thinking, wow, we're getting a lot of respect. People would just step aside and let us through, But we were nothing. We come to this intersection and we see the tuba quartet coming down another side street. There's a policeman at the corner. He stops traffic in all directions and whistles the tuba quartet across the street. I mean, these are huge boulevards,
Excellent.
so it was pretty neat. There were some kind of wild things like that. I also was a teaching assistant with Mr. Sawhill, and in fact, I made my conducting debut in Guadalajara, and I think that's the one thing that I really cherish him the most for, is that he really was supportive of all of his students, and he gave all of his students a chance to get experience on the podium, the grad students. So, I think that's probably the thing I remember the most. And he really helped everybody get jobs afterwards and stuff like that. So that was great.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Overheard that you perhaps were in one of these pictures.
Uh-huh.
Thought maybe you had some stories or some first impressions.
Oh, well, we were just looking back at our the old movies and remembering what it was like, and finding ourselves on the pictures and trying to remember what we looked like in 1967 to 71.
Excellent. Were you in the band with Clarence?
Yes.
So he was the director?
He was the director.
What,
We both were, in fact.
Yeah.
What ideas or thoughts or recollections do you have? Any great stories about him in general? I know it's a very general question, but
Let's see. We went to Mexico, to Mexico City and Guadalajara before. I remember that Clarence Sawhill's wife was a much better bargainer than he was.
what were your maybe your first impressions of Clarence? I mean, was he strict guy, nice guy? I mean, I don't know.
Oh, he's a very nice guy. Yeah. We liked him.
Yeah, he was really sweet. I know I was scared when I came here to try out because I'd played clarinet through high school, but I hadn't really intended on going on with it in college because it wasn't my major. And
Right.
I tried out and I was nervous, and he was just so sweet and wonderful, and it was really a great experience.
Sounds good. Do you guys have a favorite memory from marching band? with the bands?
Memory from marching band. I think that trip to Mexico was.
But it wasn't marching
No, that
band,
wasn't
that was
marching
wind
band, that was
ensemble.
concert.
Actually, I regret I didn't have a chance to experience marching band. We were here in the late 60s, early 70s, right before girls could be in marching band. However, girls could start to be in basketball band. I didn't do that, but a good friend of mine did, and she had a lot of fun with it. So,
Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
okay, thank you.
Friends in general, and we're hoping maybe you had some input, some stories.
All right.
Maybe first off, just the most memorable moment from band.
Oh, from band.
Band,
Oh,
or
okay.
from Clarence,
Okay.
or anything.
Because
I'm sure you have a story too.
I was teaching music in Guam, and so invited Clarence to come and do a week's clinic there on the island. And so he came and he stayed with us for the week. But we took him around to all the different high schools. And my wife was pregnant with the first son, and she was about a week due. And so after the week that Clarence was there, we put him in the car and headed off, take him to the airport, and stopped halfway along the way. My wife says, "You got to go to the hospital." And so our other friends were following us with Clarence, so we said goodbye at the roadside there, and he went to the airport, we went to the hospital. The first son.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
He was worrying about me having a baby and losing everything.
Yeah, he was, and then he would send us, letters and notes right away. How was the son? Everything okay? Yeah, quite a guy.
Did that story match up to your first impressions of him? Maybe the first time you met him?
Oh yeah. In fact, it accentuated it. I think the thing that he left most was that not only can you get some of the greatest band music possible, you can get it by being a nice guy. You don't have to beat people over the head. Just approach it musically and with the personality, and that's the way he was. Yeah, so it was a contrast to so many other people who would beat things in your head. And he would simply just point it out to you, and it's a little out of tune, but knew his stuff. He could walk over to the bassoon player. I think if you fingered it this way, the C sharp would be more in tune. The guy was a monster as far as knowledge of music. Wonderful, wonderful person and fantastic musician.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Have a good time. I'm sure you do.
Yes.
We're making just a kind of memorable
He used
video.
to spend an exceptional amount of time with me. I was getting a teaching credential and I was having trouble learning to play the flute or getting a sound on the flute. I just couldn't seem to get any sound. And he really spent a lot of his time. He was trying to figure out why I couldn't, And he finally discovered that I had some kind of a problem with the lip, been injured.
Oh, okay.
And so we worked around that, but I remember him so well for just spending so much extra time.
Very generous.
Very generous with his time. And my most memorable experience was meeting my wife in the band.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
She used to play the saxophone and sat right behind me, and it took and it lasted.
Okay, do you have any stories in the band, other than meeting Ed?
Oh, I just remember how thrilled I was to be in the band. I was, like most women you've talked to that were from my era, probably have told you that we were not allowed to be in the marching band, and we were very jealous of the fun that the guys were having. But we really it was always such a thrill to play. The music was always such good quality, and Clarence just worked so hard on everything.
Did
It was wonderful.
I guess maybe how did he treat the women?
Oh, very well.
Was it
very well? Yes, but there was no question of us ever being in the marching band. That was something that was a closed issue.
Good.
Never discussed because it was already in place in concrete.
Good.
Yeah. Not good.
But yeah, once it got going.
So my big thrill, of course, was when when the Alumni band marched one time, and the women got to be in the Alumni band, and we did get to march with the Alumni band.
Very nice.
But never when we were students at that time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a good time.
Two or
No, we're just here for the first time.
oh, well, okay. In general, some stories, some memories, and we thought maybe you had anything to add. First impressions, Clarence.
First impressions of Clarence. He was very meticulous, but very friendly as well. He drew out the best in you without making you feel nervous.
That's good.
He had a great sense of lyrics. And just he was an artist at the same time a friend. I just told someone else that I was in the band in '61 to '63. Then I came back in '68 to do some more studies. He found out I was on campus and invited me into the faculty dining room, and he knew I was going to work with other students in another country, so he wanted to teach me other instruments so I could form bands there. And he was going to provide instruments as well. But he was just a great person. So I admire him very much.
Do you have a favorite memory of Clarence? Just the
favorite memory of
favorite event, I guess. I've been hearing a little bit about some of the trips you've taken. Did you happen to partake in any of those?
With Clarence?
Yeah.
Actually, I was in the pep band. I don't know if you want that on film or not.
Oh no, bring it.
I often tell people that I went with UCLA to the first Final Four. We're the first Final Four of basketball. And they look at me and they think, wow, you're so short. No, I went to Louisville for the Final Four, but I was in the pep band.
Great.
But that's when Kelly James was the director of the pep band.
Still good though.
But I tried to get all I could out of the music program, and people wondered why I wouldn't change my major, because I was a zoology major and that I was playing in the band. And because of leaders like Clarence, I probably spent more time practicing in the practice rooms and with the band than I did in the laboratory with my zoo major.
Jane, were you in the band?
No, I wasn't. I'm just the wife of the trumpet player.
It's good. It's good. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We thought maybe you might have some input.
Oh,
I'm sure you do.
Clarence Sawhill was one of the reasons that I came and stayed at UCLA. I was from San Bernardino, and Kelly James was here, and he told me about the program and everything. Clarence Sawhill did two things that I'll always remember. I was struggling to make it financially through school, and he said, I really need you to play at the Stanford game, I think it was, or the Cal game, I can't remember. And I said, geez, Dr. Sawhill, Mr. Sawhill, I said, I have a job Saturday night at the police academy with the police academy band. And he said, what time do you have to be back? And I said, I told him. He said, can you stay for halftime? I said, yeah, but I don't know how I'm gonna, the bus. He says, don't worry. As soon as halftime ended, he had a car in the tunnel, and he got me to the airport, the Oakland airport, I guess it was, and he had paid for a flight on a plane that you don't even know about called a Lockheed Constellation, an old four-bladed, four-engine plane, the Champagne flight. So I came home and did the gig. The other thing I remember that was so dear about him was Kenny was playing in a brass quintet that I wrote, and at a church, and Clarence came, and my son, who was 5 years old, sat next to Clarence, and he treated him like it was his own son. And 5-year-olds get a little antsy in the sermon and all that. Mr. Sawhill reached in and got a gold cross pen, and he had Eric drawing on the program or something, and just taking care of it. The guy who had such a big heart, and he was a wonderful musician, and he's the reason that a lot of great players came through here. So
That's excellent. Good stories, Bill. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any earlier Very good interview, by the way. No, not at all. It's just an informal thing. If any informal first impressions of Clarence, I don't know. I heard that you went on the Europe trip.
Yes, I did, and I brought all my memorabilia right here in this sack. I have toilet paper, programs, tickets.
That's the time.
Oh yes, that's what Clarence used to say. That's the time. Did he say that?
I don't know. I heard that. That's what.
And when it would be
really good.
when it would be so good, and you would be right on when you're playing, he'd say, "That's the time." Wonderful experience.
Do you guys have any favorite moments? Just
He
working
came
with
to our
Clarence?
wedding. Wow. That was a favorite moment. He and Mrs. Sawhill.
I remember how he recruited me for band. I had him for a woodwinds class, and I had told him when I was in my senior year that I was considering teaching. So I asked him if I could get some band experience. I was a piano player, so consequently, without winds or anything like that, I didn't play any marching band instrument. I wanted to get some experience. So he said, "Okay, here, take the glockenspiel. You can go play that." I said, "Great. What's a glockenspiel?" So he explained. He said, showed it to me. He said, "If you can play piano, you can play this." So I had 3 days to be able to get the feel of it, and it just took a little while to be able to get the coordination of feet and everything else. But after a while, it worked out. It worked out very well, and I really enjoyed it. He was a very, very inspiring person to me. And I believe he was very responsible for me getting a position to teach in the Baldwin Park Unified School District, because the supervisor there, who was a band director, knew Clarence very well. And he said, "Well, if Clarence recommends you, the job is yours." And I got the job, and I had it for 37 years after that. So I have some very fond memories of Clarence.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Here's the story. Do you remember when we went out that day at lunch and they served wine to everybody?
Yes.
And most of the red wine, and most of the people didn't drink it. So you remember Arnie Tripp?
Do I remember the drummer?
Yeah, no, the trumpet player.
Sure.
So Arnie and I
remember him though.
Arnie and I and a bunch of others start drinking everybody else's wine, and we're going nuts in Paris. We started playing hide and seek. I actually climbed the Eiffel Tower on the stairs and almost fell over the thing. Got back down, took the subway back to the hotel. I was out of it. I fell asleep. 5 minutes to 8, I wake up, and the concert starts at 8, right?
Yes.
So I get my band uniform on, go down to the street, hail a cab in this band uniform, right?
Oh yeah.
Say, take me to the solid playout. It was the third tune right here is where I walked on the stage. Here I am, the first horn player of this great band, and Dr. Sawhill looks at me, and I looked at him, and I knew that I better not miss any notes at all for the rest of the concert, and I didn't.
Well, but what happened to Arnie?
Oh no, Arnie was there.
You already made it.
Those guys didn't even wake me up.
Oh well.
Or they tried.
That's possible. That's possible.
You know what you do when you're young.
Oh, isn't it
and you
fun?
don't know any better and all that stuff. So.
Oh,
anyway.
and you just walked right on.
I walked on this number. I walked on this. I wasn't there, and he's conducting this business. With two hands.
Yes.
And I'm walking on. I'm going like this in my uniform as I sit down. Oh, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't, and you haven't. This was in Paris.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the. God.
I remember that. I bet you've got.
We were there for a month, but we only had 6 concerts. So all the times in one concert in every country. One in Austria, one in Paris, one in Denmark. England was the first stop, London for 3 days. And so what did we do for 5 days in between concerts? We had a great time.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it was...
I remember the clarinet factory or the outside of Paris somewhere. We went through there.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got the whole itinerary.
Oh, my
I don't know. It's under the bed.
Oh, my gosh. I'd love to get that night at the Grinzing Wine Garden. Oh,
That was another one of those.
oh, yeah. Remember the associate director, Bob Jensen? He was a horn player, sat next to me. But he was also the assistant band. He was
I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, oh God, those
Didn't Arnie wear that one of those caps all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arnie was the Pac 10 100 meter, or in those days 100-yard dash champion.
No kidding.
Yeah, played trumpet in the band. Went on to become a doctor. So
You're here in Southern California?
I don't know where he is now. You just heard it. They don't get any better than that. Oh gosh, he was so wonderful. He just well, what happened was that I got a scholarship to USC, a full scholarship, and I went over there. They said, well, one of the conditions of the scholarship was to play in the marching band. I said, I don't want to play in any marching band, so I came over here, and I like the way UCLA sounded. It was more liquid, the L. USC has that dry sound, so
Good job.
And so I didn't start out in the band. I started out in ROTC, but I heard that you could get out of ROTC by playing in the band. So I came over there, I go upstairs, there's Kelly James up there. He says, who are you? I said, my name is David. Oh, any chance of getting in the band? He says, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And so they slid me right in there, and I was out of ROTC. And I got to tell you something, the years with the band, with Dr. Sawhill, and the Kelly James, and playing in the varsity band, the basketball band, it was like a dance band in those days. We had, like three horns, 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, a tuba, sax section, drummer. Don Shelton of the High-Lows was the sax player there, and Ed Warren, a couple of the guys. And Maurice Weiss, sitting right over there, was the drummer. And we traveled with the band, and we got great seats in those days. Even after Pauly was built, the French horns would sit in the front row between the free throw line and the basket. We had the Jack Nicholson seats. And I kept playing with the varsity band all the way through Lou Alcindor or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's years, and Patterson and Bill Walton. And I'd pay my way to the NCAA finals. And so I saw a lot of those final games, and we had great seats. So great memories. But what I really wanted to say is that actually the connections and the networking that I did at the band helped launch me in my career. And there was other people, who became ingrained in the Los Angeles music situation. And when I started out, because of these contacts, it furthered my career as being a professional horn player, which I did for 42 years and still doing to this day, believe it or not. So, but he was like a father to all of us.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was a father figure. And if somebody needed help, he would help. He always wanted to help people. He was a beautiful man. And his wife Marie was just terrific. She was the mother, and they would just take you under your wing. If you got in trouble, they would try to help you out. And he was a class act. And what more can you say? It's so nice to be here. 50 years after he came to UCLA, and honor him in this way. It's just a thrill to be here. And a side benefit is seeing all the old guys and the girls again, and it's a wonderful evening, and I'm sure glad that it's happening, and I think it's wonderful that we have over $60,000, and now it's an endowment, working our way toward $100,000, so that some future students can benefit and possibly be able to launch a music career just like I was able to do. So with that, let's have a good time tonight.
Yeah,
thanks a lot.
Much, David.
You bet.
We heard.
Who told you that?
David, dude.
He did?
He did. He's like,
David ratted on me? David, and I'm going to rat on him. He was a great jazz piano player. But he ended up going into the recording and only on French horn. He didn't let anybody know he played piano. And I became a stockbroker, did that for 30 years, and founded the UCLA Alumni Band, and which became a big thing. And I got an invitation. I don't have any idea what they're playing tonight, but my friend Len here told me that it's going to be great.
Do you have a favorite memory about with Clarence? Or just in the band?
The thing that I remember, he always used to yell at me because he wanted me to lift my legs up higher.
That's true.
Yeah. And I have long legs. I'm 6'4", and they're very long.
We get that too.
So it was hard to lift my legs up. It's still hard, even at the ripe old age of 66 in aerobics class. And so I remember that. What else? Well, I played drums and trumpet, and I played trumpet in the marching band because carrying a drum around didn't seem like a great idea, especially marching in the Rose Parade with a drum on your knee.
Yeah.
Rose Parade.
How many
I
parades
did that
did
once.
you do?
Santa Claus Lane Parade, we did that.
How many Rose Parades did you do?
I don't know. Maybe half a dozen.
It was like
I remember one thing, you always used to conduct with both hands like this. Most people conduct.